Hello and welcome to CodeSlicing. In this episode, we're going to be creating this beautiful icon animation. What's it for? No idea. But that's not the point. Don't get distracted. The point is that we are going to create that in 5 minutes. You don't believe me? Well, stick around because you will believe me, well, in about 5 minutes. Right, start the clock. First thing we need is an icon layout config, which is a layout guide config of type grid with 10 columns and 10 rows. Then we define our shape, up arrow to tick icon, then we use it. Give it a stroke of white with a style, with a line width of 10, line cap of round, line join of round, get rid of the rest of them. We give it a frame of 200, a square frame that is. We show our layout guides by putting in that layout config. We make sure they're being shown. We give the VStack a greedy frame. We give it a background color of nearly black. And we ignore all safe areas. All right, let's resume that. That should be looking quite nice. Now we lay out our guide. We take the icon layout config and we lay it out in the rectangle. Then we draw a line and we go from 5,8 to 5,2. That's our vertical line. Then we move to G 3,4. Then we draw a line to 5,2 and another line to 7,4. Okay, there's our arrow. Now we're going to start the process of animating it. So I'm going to add an animatable data here. Animatable data, which is of type double, which I'm going to set to 1. So it's in the animated position or the success tick position. And then I'm going to take this point and I'm going to move it to 5,4 with a factor of animatable data. So you can see it's moved in. And then I'm going to take the last point and move it to 7,2, also with animatable data. So it looks like this. So this is the tick, and now we need to rotate the layout guide so it looks correct. So we do that by saying rotated 225 degrees with a factor of animatable data. Now we need to offset it, X offset, and we'll take 0.07 of the width of the rectangle, and we'll also give it this animatable data as the factor because we only want it offset and rotated when it's in the tick position, right? You can see it goes from an up arrow to a tick as I change that value from 0 to 1. So let's move that up so it can satisfy the animatable protocol. We're going to put an initializer with a success parameter, which is a Boolean, and we say self animatable data is equal to, do we have success? Yes, 1, no, 0. Then we add it here. Success is success. And then we add a state private variable of success. We set it to false. Now if we resume, we should see it in the up arrow position. I'm going to give it a content shape of a rectangle so I can tap anywhere on the icon. And then in the tap gesture, I'm going to say that the success is toggled. I'm going to do that inside an animation block with a very specific timing curve. 0.850, 0.15 and 1 with a duration of 0.45. Okay, then we get rid of these. We'll play. And we've got a working up arrow to tick icon. Isn't it wonderful? And so simple, it's diabolical. Now, there are a couple of things. The first thing is, if you're confused at all about layout guides and the interpolation of points within them, then I've done a whole series on this where we go through what they are, how to use them, and how to animate points within them, the way we've done here. So I'll leave a link to that playlist in the description below. The other thing is, you might be wondering, how did I come up with that timing curve? Well, in this case, being one of my favorite animations, I actually have this one memorized. But let's say that I didn't, and I actually wanted to match an animation that I'd seen somewhere else. And I didn't want to just guess and plug in numbers and sort of get into the right ballpark, perhaps. I mean, this is code slicing after all, and we like to be precise. So I thought I'd take you through the process that I would use in order to determine what an animation's custom timing curve values should be. And it harks back to the episode on custom timing curves, where we developed a utility that would generate our custom timing curve and let us play around with it in real time. I'm going to pull that into this episode so you can see it in action and used in a practical way. First of all, if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it. But if you just want to see how it works, this is how. The first thing we need to do is to add two state variables, which are going to be the control points for our custom timing curve. So we have CP0, which is a CG point of 0.4 and 0.4, and we're going to have CP1 with 0.6 and 0.6. Now, these can be whatever you like, but this will give you a linear timing curve to start with. And then what we do is we initialize our custom timing curve. Here's the custom timing curve that we built, and we're going to pass in these bindings. Then we need to return our VStack. Let's resume that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that custom timing curve and use it to generate our animation. So we'll say custom timing curve, paste it in there and say generate the duration of 0.45. And now what we'll see is a linear animation, right? Which is obviously not what we want. So we're going to change that, and we're going to use this utility to play around with this timing curve as we do it. The way we do that is this. We actually use it as a view. So we say custom timing curve as view, size of 200. We'll give it a bit of space at the top of 50. Now remember, you can drag both of them by using the yellow dot. That will drag them both symmetrically, or you can use the green one to just do one of them. And as we change this, it will change the animation. So if we set it to something like an ease in out, you can see the ease in out basic default animation there. If you change it to something that I had, which was something along these lines, then it's very fast in the middle and slow at both of the ends. All right, that's the look that I went for there. But you could get really fancy with this. Maybe you could drag it up here and have a little anticipation in your animation like this. So it kind of goes the opposite direction a bit before it starts. A little anticipation there. But notice here, I can't grab this anymore because the icon is interfering. It's intercepting that click. There are two ways to solve that. You could give the custom timing curve a Z-index, or you could give it a little more padding, up to you. But I mean, if you do run across that, then that's how you can fix it. But let's just resume that, reset it, and I'm going to go for something a little bit like that. All right, so that's pretty much what we had before. And then you take these numbers down roughly and you stick them in here. All right, so you would say 0.85, 0, 0.15, and 1. Okay, and now if I resume, that will actually be the default animation that it starts with, okay? And that's what we've got there. So at this point, we can just remove that altogether and we're done. If you don't think you're going to be changing your animation at any point, if you're really happy with that and you don't want the option, then you can just remove any reference to the custom timing curve and do what I did, which is say, instead of that, we say timing curve, and we pass in those values, 0.85, 0, 0.15, and 1, with the duration of 0.45. Then we can get rid of this. We can get rid of these. We resume. And we're done. Well, there we are. We did it, didn't we? And if you could do that kind of thing in 5 minutes, just imagine what you can do in 6. And I hope that goes to show you that that custom timing curve utility that we built is not just a gimmick. It can be used in real life situations, and I use it all the time. I mean, well, I say all the time. I mean, well, I use it when I'm constructing custom timing curves. I mean, I don't randomly use it all the time. I mean, that would be ridiculous. But if you like that, then consider subscribing for more, and that's probably what you're going to get. And smash that like button because it makes me very happy indeed. And what could be more important than that? Other than helping people find the channel that it does actually do. So, you know, hit that, subscribe, press all the buttons, just do all of it until something happens. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me. See you next time.